Good morning and welcome to the lecture series. My name is Vinod Sharma and Professor and Faculty of Commerce and Management, Brahma University. Today I'll be talking about blockchain technology, a technology that is estimated to become an industry worth $3 trillion in value by 2030, substantial amount. The blockchain undeniably ingenious technology was originally designed for the digital currency Bitcoin, but its potentiality in other applications has made it desirable and even very popular. Now, blockchain technology is a decentralized database that stores a registry of assets and transactions across a peer-to-peer network. It is basically a public registry of who owns what and who transacts what in a peer-to-peer network. A blockchain, in the simplest of terms, is a time-stamped series of immutable records of data that is distributed and managed by a group of computers linked to each other using cryptographic principles of chaining and hashing. Having said that, it means that by design, blockchain is resilient to modification, simply because it allows digital information to be distributed but not to be copied. Blockchain is open and distributed technology that records transactions between two parties in a peer-to-peer network in a verifiable and permanent way. At this point of time, if I have to give you an analogy as to how blockchain looks like and what is blockchain, I think the closest in description to something would be like Wikipedia. Now, we can see everything on Wikipedia as it is an open platform that stores words and images and also the changes to the data over a period of time. Now, Wikipedia is an amalgamated view that is constantly changing and being updated. We can track those changes over time on Wikipedia, and we can create our own wikis, simply because at the core of the Wikipedia is just the data infrastructure. Having said that, in a similar way, if you look at the blockchain, it is also an open infrastructure that stores many kinds of records and information. It can store the history of custodianship, ownership, location of assets like the digital currency, Bitcoin, other digital assets like title of ownership of IP. You name it and you can do it. It could be a certificate, a contract, a real world object, even the personal identifiable information. So in a way, blockchain is public registry that stores transactions in a network that are frequently replicated and updated, making it secure and hard to tamper. Now, as I mentioned earlier, blockchain network has no central authority. It is a shared and immutable ledger. The information is open for anyone and everyone to see. Now, if you understood the meaning of word, distributed, which means that there is no central database which can be hacked or which is prone to security breach. And this makes blockchain a very secure technology. Anything that is built on a blockchain by its nature becomes very transparent and everyone involved is accountable for their actions, right? So even if I try to make certain changes in a blockchain, which is practically impossible, but even if I do so, it can be traced, it's easily identifiable who did what, as I said earlier. So allow me to share with you as to how blockchain works. I mean, it's very simple, but in simple terms, I'm trying to explain it to you. Technically, it is very different. But my description will give you an idea as to what happens exactly in a blockchain network. Say there are many participating nodes in a network, and one of the node in the network requests for a simple transaction of transfer of money. Now the requested transaction is broadcasted in a network to across the connected nodes. A network of nodes validates the transaction and the user status using known algorithm. That's basically a process. And once the verified transaction is combined with the other transactions to create a new block, which is then added to the existing blockchain using cryptographic and hashing algorithm. And this completes a transaction. to make the things more clear, I'll take in a small example. For instance, say A wants to transfer funds to B in a peer-to-peer network. The transaction request for transfer of fund is broadcasted across the participating node in the network, and the node between which the transaction has to take place responds. The network checks and verifies the validity of the transactions, and the block is added to the chain. Now, the block is then reconciled across the network and ends by creating a permanent record by attaching a timestamp to it, and the record of ownership of money finally moves from A to B. Now, what this simply means is that at the end of the day, when if you want to check the status of the transactions, you will find that the account balance of A will be less, and the account balance of B will be increased to the extent the amount is being transferred. Now, it has a timestamp that at what point of time this transaction took place. Now, it will have the address of the previous block, so that if I wanted to make changes in this transaction, the block will get influenced, not only the transaction holding block, but the other blocks also, because they are linked with each other. And that's what the technique of hashing and cryptography is all about. I'll be doing this technical explanations in a presentation shortly, where I'll be using a PowerPoint presentation. A blockchain network is always in a state of consensus that automatically checks, like a self-auditing ecosystem of a digital value, and it reconciles every transaction that happens across the network. Now, maybe every few minutes. As mentioned earlier, the blockchain is distributed, hence cannot be controlled by a single entity, meaning thereby there is no single point of failure in a blockchain. And obviously, this makes it up and running all the time, so it gives a lot of security. It's very difficult to have a security breach in a blockchain technology network. Not only that, blockchain technology also eliminates the need of relying on a third party, such as a financial institution, for mediating the transaction. As I mentioned earlier, the transaction between A and B happen directly without the intermediation, which normally when you want to transfer funds or make a financial transaction, you need an intermediary in between, right? Like, say, for instance, you need a Paytm or Google Pay or something like that. But here, in the blockchain, you will find that the transaction takes place without the mediation of any third party or any financial intermediaries involvement. So blockchain technology by design tackles the inherent problem of, trust, transparency, and accountability in a business transaction, as it is resilient to modification, meaning information can be distributed, but it cannot be copied. Now, blockchain has numerous benefits such as decentralization, persistency, secrecy, and auditability. So there is a wide spectrum of blockchain application ranging from cryptocurrencies, financial services, risk management, Internet of Things, to public and social services. And this brings me to a level or a point where I would like to share with you some of the applications of blockchain technology. Now, people normally talk about what technology is, but I see the real value comes if we understand the potential of a technology as to what this technology can do and how this technology can add value to the business. For instance, I'll just share with you, just imagine a situation that if I'm in a financial transactions, say for instance, if a derivative could be paid out when a financial instrument meets a certain benchmark using blockchain technology, and a Bitcoin-enabled automated payout is released. Now, all this is very, very possible, and believe me, it's happening because simply by using blockchain technology and creating smart contracts. Now, you'll be wondering, how is it possible? Allow me to explain you what smart contracts are. Now, smart contracts are self-executing contracts with auto-enforceable set of codes subject to fulfillment of condition specified in the contract. Now, it's like that when you enter into a contractual obligations, you definitely define certain covenants and conditions. And if those conditions are fulfilled, the contract becomes, executable. A smart contract is like a set of rules and regulations. It's a computer program or a computer code running on top of a blockchain containing a set of rules under which the parties to the smart contract agree to interact with each other if and when the predefined rules are met. So the agreement gets automatically enforced and executed. So as I mentioned earlier, if you realize A derivative could be definitely paid out when a financial instrument meets a certain benchmark using blockchain technology. The smart contract code facilitates, verify, and enforces the negotiation of the performance of an agreement or a transaction. A smart contract is the simplest form of a decentralized automation that helps in slashing transaction cost of coordination and enforcement. So far, if you realize, one of the major advantage of using blockchain is that it will definitely reduce the cost associated with the transaction, which is a major portion. It doesn't allow it doesn't allow mediation in between, so there's intermediary cost is removed. It authenticates. So many things can be done using a blockchain technology. Now, another feature of blockchain could be that blockchain technology enables peer-to-peer payments, and this allows direct interaction between parties, and this helps in cutting the middleman cost, as I mentioned earlier. Another very interesting thing is, if you are familiar with the word Kickstarter and GoFundMe.com, blockchain is finding its major application in crowdfunding. Now, crowdfunding initiatives, which are by Kickstarter and GoFundMe.com, they're doing the advanced work of engaging peer-to-peer economy, suggesting that the people wants to have a direct say in the product development. Now, blockchain technology and crowdfunding has the potential to be the leader in a new paradigm of economic cooperation. Now, that's a different world blockchain is going to create, where there will be less of a competition, but there will be more of a cooperative model or co-optation model of succeeding in the digital world, right? Where you share, you collaborate, you coordinate, you cooperate. Another example application where a blockchain can be popularly used is the governance. Now, by making the election results fully transparent and publicly accessible, distributed database technology could bring full transparency to the elections, right? So right now, if we are giving a vote to a particular candidate, we're not very sure about it, that the vote goes to that particular person, even if the electronic voting systems are used. But if it is supported with the blockchain technology, it will have a timestamp at what time I gave the vote, and my vote will be linked to the using a chain, using hashing and a cryptographic technology, which means that nobody can tamper it and nobody can change it. Similarly, ethical claims made by the companies about their products can be validated. Distributed ledgers of blockchain technology provides an easy way to certify that the backstories of genuineness are true or false. Now, transparency comes with the blockchain-based timestamping of data and location, and this particular feature of location as well as timestamping could revolutionize the entire supply chain management. Now, that's very earlier, if I'm not wrong, when the sensor-based networks came like RFID and IoT, the supply chain was made more efficient. But now with this blockchain technology, I believe the authenticity of the data, or the authenticity of the manufacturers, and the authenticity of the product with date, time, and location stamping of blockchain technology will certainly revolutionize the supply chain management. Then protection of IP is another way. The small contracts using blockchain technology can protect your copyright and automate the sale of creative works online, eliminating the risk of copying and redistribution. Another thing which I want to talk about is, because I mentioned about Internet of Things, so we're witnessing the shift from from Internet of Things using blockchain becomes blockchain of things. A combination is blockchain of things is basically a combination of a software, sensors, and a network that facilitates the exchange of data between object and mechanism, resulting in increased system efficiency and improved cost of monitoring. Now, blockchain also helps in handling the corruption, especially and terrorism, and especially in case of anti-money laundering and know your customers, because it helps in ensuring that as I mentioned earlier, that who knows what and who does what, everything becomes visible in a blockchain. So let me talk about anti-money laundering and KYC. So anti-money laundering and your KYC practices have a strong potential for being adopted to the blockchain. Now, currently, financial institutions perform a labor-intensive multi-step process for each new customer. Now, KYC cost can be reduced through cross-institution client verification, and at the same time, increase monitoring and analysis effectiveness. Blockchain technologies using anti-money laundering and KYC solution involve analyzing transactions, and those transactions identified as being suspicious can be forwarded to the compliance officers. Again, I can go on and on explaining you the various applications, because for us it is essential to understand that the features of a blockchain, and then those features wherever we find that are essentially required in areas of business can be put across. So I'll just repeat once again, it is distributed, so it is where blockchain is distributed technologies, it's very secure. It is transparent, there's an element of trust involved in it. So any area of application where these three things are essentially required, which are almost in every transaction. So you'll find that the blockchain can be used and deployed very effectively there. So concluding my talk on blockchain, I feel that the blockchain is a technology, is still immature and is away from feasibility at scale because of the difficulty in resolving the co-optation and in establishing the common standards in a protocol. I do mention that it is through the consensus protocol participating nodes, validates the transactions, but still developing those protocols for co-optation is definitely going to take a time. And the short-term value, as I have said earlier, of blockchain technology could largely be in reducing the cost. But what we feel and what the industry is talking about is that, but in long run, the blockchain technology has the potential of creating transformative business models. That's it. Thank you guys for watching me and listening me carefully. And I hope to bring more such informative videos for you. And for more information and updates, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you have liked the video, please do share in your network. Thank you very much.